So yeah, um, thought I'd do a video about why I've become more political in recent years, especially this last year. And I think I'm the most political I've ever been. But this video's been influenced by a YouTuber that I've come across recently called Eve Speaks Freely. Who's I think she's a student, a young student who's kind of into politics and documents this sort of stuff like that, Speaker's Corner and all that. But what's influenced this video is she was asked why she got into politics in one of the live streams, and I think she's someone who's probably got very similar political views to what I have. Like we've got centrist views. I currently see myself as someone who's probably centrist, but leans probably a little bit slightly towards the right with the way current day politics is. And I think that can potentially change in the future because I think politics change, people change, things change. But yeah, and I think why I've become why I've kind of gotten into politics is I still wouldn't say I know everything about politics. Like I still say I'm quite apolitical. Mostly, like I'd say I label myself as mostly apolitical, but I have an opinion on current day politics. Know the way the world is at the minute. Because there's like I've largely I don't really have much interest in politics and politicians in quite a lot of areas. As I do think I just don't really like it. I think it's corrupt. It's about power, and I just don't really like it. But what's probably made me more political and the way I am today, the way I think today, is probably the last 5 years, probably 10 years even. I'd extend over it, like since leaving school, as a lot of people probably well know. If who's ever come across this video where, like, growing up, not really understanding how the world works, and I think this last 5 years has been a transitional stage where I've probably had a bit of a wake up call about how the world works. As I've left uni, COVID has happened, Brexit has happened, I got mentally ill. Like a lot of things has happened within the last 5 years, and it's been a big transitional stage since leaving uni. And I think one of the reasons is that is the education system. As I kind of think it was a scam. I was sold a lie because I just don't think that's done anything for me, and I think that's criminal, in my honest opinion. Whereas, like, I think there should be a better way to transition into some sort of employment, and you hear a lot of things about mass unemployment, and I think there's probably there's a group of young people that manage to do something with their life, whether that's the right support system or they've just got that skill and knowledge to know how to function in the real world. Whereas I probably don't, probably not. Where but I think there's a lot of young people where they never really had a chance in life. Probably just the way the modern world is, the way this world's going, the way this country's going, and I can include myself in that when it comes to education and the nature of that education system. As I watched a video about somebody commented in uni where it's independent study, and So it's an environment where you're not forced to talk to people, and I think that's where a lot of social isolation comes into it. But that's probably a topic for another video. And I think that's one reason, probably half a reason. Just, I think the education system was a scam and a lie, and I think it's just one of many scams and lies. I think, and just like growing up, learning about how the world works, moving out, and I think I've come to learn that I think this system works against people. Like, it's probably a cliche to say the system's rigged. I think I've got that opinion on this current government and governments beyond Labour and Keir Starmer, that this is a system that works against people, and I think that just angers me. Like, I think this year's confirmed it with the digital ID announcements and many other things that have happened. And I'm just totally angry with it all. So I think that it's just learning about the real world. I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I think I'm still naive in a lot of areas, probably, and I'm still learning, and I probably always still learn. But I just think I probably have more of an understanding of how the world works, and I probably understand what it is as a world and a system that works against you. Whereas I think like getting a job, going to job centre, the DWP, to push you into jobs that you just don't want to do. They're not designed for you. Where it just cause severe depression and mental health issues and stuff. And I think that's what it's all about, this grey, gloomy, depressing system that I think under this current government has set up, and it'll probably just get worse if they get things their way. So I think like I naturally latched on to a few political YouTubers, centrist YouTubers, people like He Speaks Freely, a few others like English Ned, Charlie Reach, even though there's a bit of controversy which I don't really know anything about, so I won't say I've got much of an opinion on that. Billy Moore, there's a guy called Young Bob that I've come across recently. British Lander, well, I think he called himself Lander, and Wesley Winter. Many others that I've come across, especially this past year, where I've come across their content and I've kind of latched onto it. Like, I can kind of connect to it. Like, they share probably the same frustrations, the same I do, and other smaller YouTubers like Tracking, and there's a guy called the Wandering Pessimist, even though I think he's more like angry with the world. I think he's someone who's on the autism spectrum, and I think personally, I think he can be quite naive in ways, to be honest. But that's just no disrespect to him. That's just how I feel. But yeah, I think this last year's probably been a bit of a wake up call, and I think before I left uni, before I left ill, like, I weren't that political, but I had like probably opinion, like similar views on the LGBT sort of stuff than I do now. And but I was probably a bit more left leaning because that was probably what was expected. No, especially around my generation, like you're kind of expected to be a bit more left leaning. But I think like even like when I left high school, I probably just had no clue about politics really, but and how the world works, but acted like I probably did. But well, I was probably even more left leaning where I probably go as far that I was probably like full on woke even at that stage to a point. But I guess it, it that was just the way things were back then in 2013 when you was a teenager and all that. But I think since getting ill, I think it feels like something's died in me. Like I've gone well and truly fed up with how the world is, where something's died in me, I think. Like one example is I used to be the sort of person that didn't kill flies or bees when they're around me because I saw it as cruel. But I think now, like when I've moved into this house I'm currently living in, there was a time where my porch was full of flies. I don't know why, and I just went on a fucking murderous killing spree, killing flies. Just no fucks given. And I guess that says a lot about my mental state, where I just don't really give a fuck anymore. More like I'm less tolerant towards bullshit, and I just have more of I think I've leaned a bit more towards the right, where I think people who lean a bit more centre right have the opinion of the no nonsense sort of people, the no bullshit sort of people, where they have that ability to see things realistically and they can be brutally honest. And I think I've kind of become that to a level. People like my dad, I think he's a bit like that. And where they have to go through so much where they just stop giving a fuck. Like there's a American sitcom called The Goldbergs, and the dad called Murray is probably that character is probably similar, where he's been through so much he just stops fucking caring. He became quite emotionless and more stoic, where he just stops giving a fuck. And I think I could say something a little bit more similar to that, but probably not to that extreme, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think that's why I've become more political, become the way I've become. And you've obviously got that culture of that left wing culture where if you don't think like them, or if you just lean a bit more centre, you're a far right Nazi. And I think that's just ridiculous. That's just pure retardation at its fucking peak. And I think that's motivated a lot more people to be more centrist or lean a bit more towards the right, as I think people who are more, not far right, but a bit more centre right to centre, even centre left to a level, have more realistic views and opinions on how the world works. And I think there's been a big wave of far left wing culture within the last 15 years, and people are just more awake to that. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this video up because I think I'm running out of battery. Like a lot of people are more fed up with it. Like it's a load of bullshit, it's a load of nonsense. But yeah, see ya.